Well, hello out there, and welcome once again to another edition of the Hyperion Adventures podcast. I'm Tom. I'm here, as I always am, with my lovely wife, Michelle.
Hello, everybody.
So good to have you with us once again. We are recording this show on Sunday, September 30th, 2018, and it also just happens to be International Podcast Day. So isn't that lucky for us?
It is.
So we're so happy to be able to bring this show to you on International Podcast Day. And we appreciate that you found us today. In the future, you can find us on 1057max.com. If you're looking for us on that page, we're under the Max Plus tab. You can just kind of hit that. It'll have a drop-down thing in there, and it'll show our podcast right there. In the future, you can also find us on the Max FM app. We're on SoundCloud. We're on Stitcher. You can subscribe to us on iTunes and Google Play Music. And whenever we have a new episode, it'll just come right to your device, right to your phone. You'll know when we have a new episode. And if you get a chance, we really appreciate it if you could just give us a little quick rating. If you have even a little bit longer, maybe a quick review, that'd be really nice. It would help a lot of people find our podcast, Disney fans like you, to know that we exist out there.
That's right. And we've had some great feedback in emails and at our website. So if you could also share that information with a rating, that would also let other podcasters know about it.
By the way, I was just looking over at Michelle over here, and she's on this really tall chair, and her feet are just dangling. Michelle's like 5 feet tall. If you don't know how, she's a little tiny thing, and I can just see her feet dangling there, and it was just distracted me for a second there, but it's as cute as can be. So,
thank you, sweetie.
Yes, she is absolutely correct. We really appreciate out there. We really appreciate all the input that you give us each week, and we really love hearing from you. And if you want to get in touch with us in the future, you can find us on social media. We're all over the place. On Twitter, we're at Hyperion Podcast. Facebook and Instagram, at Hyperion Adventures Podcast. You can email us all the time, whenever you want, HyperionAdventuresPodcast@gmail.com. And we even have our own website outside of the Max FM website. We have our own website, which is HyperionAdventuresPodcast.com. We love hearing from you. So please contact us whenever you get a chance. If you have anything you want to say to us, even just a hi.
That's right. And if there's some requests that you have or some tips you want to share, we love to give you the credit for that. And actually, later on today, I have one from Tom O.
Oh, Tom O is back.
Yes.
Oh, Tom O from Massachusetts, right?
That's right. Very good.
He's making another appearance. That'll be interesting to hear what he has to say later on in the show. Speaking of our show today, we've got lots of stuff for you today. We have later on, coming up, some Disney Cruise Line news. We have stories about upcoming events both at the Walt Disney World Resort and the Disneyland Resort, including some interesting stuff about Star Wars Galaxy's Edge that came out this week. And of course, at the end of it all, we'll wrap it up with our tips of the week. But first, we need to get to our main topic. We always start with one big topic every week, at least one big topic every week. And this week, we took a little journey up the 5 freeway to one of our favorite spots, up to the Disneyland Resort. It's almost October. It's the September 30th day. That means October is tomorrow. That means Halloween will be in full force. Not that it hasn't been for weeks at both Disneyland Resort and the Walt Disney World Resort, but we wanted to check it out for ourselves to see what was going on up there.
That's right. And, this year we didn't do the Mickey's Scary Halloween Party.
Mickey's Not So Scary?
Not so scary, yeah. Oh, that's right. It's not so scary.
Must be a little scary for you. That headless horseman comes out. Oh!
No, it's Mickey having fangs is a scary thing to me.
Yes. It's terrifying.
Right. But we wanted to still get into the fun of Halloween at Disneyland, and it really was a lot of fun, and it's a great time of year to go. The weather is a little bit more reasonable than our past hot summer months, so I would say it's a great time to visit Disneyland Resort.
Yeah, we got a lucky day yesterday. It was absolutely beautiful out there. Wonderful. It was up in the high 70s, maybe the low 80s it hit, but it was just a beautiful day. And yeah, of course, there's Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. And yes, you should go to that if you get a chance. But you don't have, that's not the only thing that's going on out there. at the Disneyland Resort or the Walt Disney World Resort for that matter if you're looking for some Halloween fun this coming season. And that's what we kind of wanted to talk about.
Right. And I also want to do a shout out to our friends in Paris, in France, in Europe. We get a lot of great tweets from them regarding the Disneyland Paris Halloween festivities, and that looks a lot of fun too.
Yeah, sometime we have to make it out there for that. That'd be
absolutely.
A lot of fun. That'd be a lot of fun. Plus Paris,
I know, right?
Not bad.
Not bad.
Not bad. So we were tweeting all out yesterday. We threw a lot of pictures out there. We actually teased a few things we're going to talk about throughout the show. But if you want to check out some of our pictures, you can find us on Twitter at Hyperion Podcast. Also on Instagram, I put out some pictures too at Hyperion Adventures Podcast. So let's get to it. Let's talk about what we saw out of the Disneyland Resort. And I'm going to start it off just walking into the place and the decor. The theming they have for the Halloween is just amazing out there. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. It is really, I mean, you instantaneously get into the spirit of the Halloween season and autumn, and it's just great. Just right away, you can feel it.
Yeah, so many jack-o'-lanterns. You wouldn't even, and we're going to talk about this later on, but there are so many jack-o'-lanterns out there that it's great. There's all sorts of little touches here and there. Cars Land, if you go to the Disney California Adventure Park, Cars Land is totally decked out with a whole bunch. They use car parts to make spiders and make these little scary faces kind of going across the Route 66 there in Radiator Springs. And over at Mater's, what is it? It's now Mater's Graveyard Jamboree.
Right.
They have some radiators that look like gravestones. They just really do some interesting touches to make it really look fantastic.
Right. And the posters out there. And like you said, all kinds of little touches throughout the whole of Cars Land that is just really cute as can be.
Absolutely. And over at another part of the park that they actually are starting to draw some people to, that kind of, it's kind of the part of California Adventure Park that just kind of gets lost in the shuffle, but it's kind of over by the Paradise Gardens over there. They've turned that into, they do a lot of Dia de los Muertos stuff over there now with Coco and everything. Is Plaza de la Familia over there. And there's really cool stuff in that corner that I'm going to talk about here in a second, but that's great. Even one other thing that was even a cute touch is we were walking around the backside past Grizzly River Run. I don't know if you've ever been out there, but there's a big bear out there with he's got a life jacket on and he's got an oar, and he was in his other hand, he had a Mickey pumpkin basket, like he was ready to go out trick-or-treating. So they even touched it on the area that you don't really think necessarily a Halloween. So just the little touches were fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Such creativity. And even though we've been there several consecutive years, it's just each year we see a little something different. And so hats off to the creators and decorators over there at Disneyland Resort.
Well, it was really last year. I mean, we heard it for the first time at the D23 Expo last year when they said that we're going to expand our Halloween stuff throughout the park. And that's when they announced they were going to do this in Cars Land. And let me tell you, Cars Land steals the show. I mean, it's great everywhere. Of course, the Haunted Mansion Holiday is fantastic. And I'll talk about that in just a second here. But the Cars Land really, really brings it home. I think it's wonderful what they do out there.
Right. Even the cars like Mater and
Lightning McQueen, Cruz
Ramirez this year. Yes. So they're all decked out in their costume too.
Yeah, so we got a picture with Mater out there. That was a lot of fun. So yeah, so good. Speaking of the Haunted Mansion Holiday, that was one of the first things we wanted to do. And let me make this suggestion to you, as we kind of knew this going in, but it just proved itself out there. When you go there, just go get a fast pass right away. If you're not there at rope drop, because we were there, we got in about 20, 30 minutes after rope drop. We were running a little slow. We went, first thing we did, no comment on that. No, we were fine. We got there. We got everything done we wanted to do. We went and got a fast pass for it, went and did a couple other things, came back to it, and the line was crazy. There's so much attention for this attraction, and with good reason. It's so good. Definitely get a fast pass for it and do it.
Yeah, and if you have Max Pass, that can also help too. But you don't want to end up getting to there and not having a fast pass because you will be waiting for quite a long time. It really is popular for good reason. It's a great show, great holiday overlay, and it's one of our favorites.
Yeah, it's and it comes out only for it's about 4 months of the year every year, but it's just wonderful. And Jack and Sally and the whole gang from Halloween Town, it's really cool. They have a new. We've talked about this on past episodes. Every year in the middle in the ballroom segment of the Haunted Mansion, they have a new gingerbread house, and it looks great again this year. I think you'd agree.
Definitely. And it smells wonderful.
Yeah, and you get that waft of sweet gingerbread, sweet and kind of spicy gingerbread. It's just so good. It's just a lot of fun, and we really enjoy it. So definitely do that when you go there. We didn't do Space Mountain Ghost Galaxy, but that's another holiday overlay that they have going on there in the Disneyland park if you're looking for more Halloween fun. We did go over back to, once we got the Fast Pass, we bolted right back over to Disney's California Adventure Park, and we went to the Mater's Graveyard Jamboree,
right?
Which was a lot of fun. I mean, it's basically the same ride, but they changed the songs. We heard the Monster Truck Smash, like the Monster Mash. Oh, it was the Monster Truck Smash. And there was also Trunk or Treat. Just these little fun songs that they just twist a little bit to add a little Halloween flair to it.
Right. But it's using the same voices and everything. So you still get Mater. It's still Mater singing, but just more holiday. Halloween holiday.
Singing may be generous, but it's so fun. And then we went over to Luigi's Honkin' Hall, Haul, Hall-O-Ween. And that's also great. It's the dancing, all his cousins from Carceli, they're dancing. But again, it's to some of the tunes that you may know, but they give it a little Halloween spin to them, literally spin.
Right. That was good, honey.
Yeah, it was not intended, but there you go. A lot of fun. We had a great time at both of those.
Oh, yeah. And the decorations there, too, like all the banners were all orange, Halloween looking. So, hopefully you can hear in our voices and what we're trying to describe. It's a lot of fun. It's really great Halloween decor, and everybody would love it.
Speaking of that, we talked about this just a little bit ago. Really cool decor was over at the Paradise Gardens, where it's, like I said, it had been transformed into Plaza de la Familia in honor of Coco coming out, when it's just so much around Halloween, but in particular the Dia de los Muertos, which is the day after Halloween usually. But it was great. Some of the things you could do there, some very interactive stuff that was fun and really heartfelt. Like we went out there and they have a wall of chains almost, and you can go in there and they pick up a little piece of paper and a little string, and you can write down memories of your family on there and hang them there. And there are literally hundreds, maybe thousands
sure.
of people who've hung up their memories. I did one for my grandparents and my aunt. I know you did one
for my dad and my brothers.
Yeah, and that was really touching and wonderful to be able to do. And then there's another little pavilion area that has just dedicated to Coco itself, that has a lot of photos from there's not the actual guitar that was. Of course, it's not the actual guitar; it's an animated movie. But it's not the guitar that what can I think of his name? The main guy that sings "Remember" Ernesto de la Cruz. Thank you. Not his, but it was actually Miguel's guitar that he had put together, and that's standing there. He took a picture of that, and that was cute as could be. But all sorts of little touches about the movie there. There's the picture of Miguel and Mama Coco there, and that was really cute.
Yes.
But you could also go in there and you could go and get your own mask. It's just a little kind of color, and you can color it any way you want. Mask of either Dante or Papita de Alabrijes. And you can, your kids can color them, and their little mask you can kind of walk around with, just a little paper mask, but it's just kind of fun.
Right. It's similar to the things that you see at Epcot, family cot areas. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they have crayons there and everything like that. The whole area there is just so colorful and really captures the essence of when you're watching Coco. The music, whether you're listening to a live mariachi band or just background music in between sets, it's really amazing what they've done there.
And they have a couple different mariachi bands. We saw a little bit of one, and the Mariachi Divas are almost always there, and they're always great too. We saw them as well, a little bit of them, but it's a lot of fun. We did catch, I caught much of the musical celebration of Coco. We have some tips involving that because, unfortunately, I just talked a little bit ago about Michelle only being 5 foot tall. Well, we got there a little later than we probably should have. We were actually going on a separate subject. We were watching the Pixarmonic band over at Pixar Pier. We're kind of killing some time until we're going to go over there and see this show. By the way, they're amazing.
They're
go,
hysterical.
Go check them out.
Yes.
They're really fun. Of course, that takes away from what we're talking about, but I just wanted to bring them up real quickly because we enjoy it. But it did keep us from getting there. I'm going to tell you, if you're going to go to this show, it's been out there on social media. There's been a lot of stuff showing them out there. So this suddenly very popular. There's no raised seating or everything. It's right there in front of the Paradise Gardens, the Plaza de la Familia. If you get there and you're 3 or 4 rows back, you have to try and squeeze and see through people. I'm 6 foot tall, and I had some trouble seeing through people. Michelle, I don't know if you saw anything really.
I saw some of it. I got the essence of it. Especially the dancers. They do come around to the whole circle. You're in a circle area, and so they all do come around. It's just trying to, like you're saying, peek in between people, or and everybody's videotaping it too, which I totally get. It's beautiful show, so it's just kind of moving your head back and forth to try to find the sweet spot.
Yeah, so I mean, it is a cool show, but obviously Michelle is vertically challenged, and so if you have your children there, they're almost certainly vertically challenged. So if they can't, I mean, we saw a lot of people who put their smallest kids on their shoulders, and that's fine and everything.
Right.
But if they're maybe a little too big for that, or your back isn't ready to put somebody on their shoulders for about 15, 20, 30 minutes, then you might want to try and get there really early. Like I'm almost telling you, like when one show ends, you might want to start getting there around that time for the next show.
That's what I did see, like within 5 minutes of when the show ended and cleared out, that there was already, probably about 75% of the first row starting to sit there ready to be in place for the second show.
And the biggest problem with being short is that the puppet, which is the biggest thing of the show, which is amazing, by the way. Obviously it's Miguel, and he's vertically challenged,
right?
So if you can't see around or over somebody, it's tough to see him because he's low to the ground. So it makes it a little tough, but the show is great, and so I would highly recommend you going out there and trying it. It's about a 15-minute show. The Mariachi Divas, who we were just talking about, they take part in it. Some other singers and dancers who are very interactive with the crowd and have a lot of fun. They take part of it. They play 4 songs from the movie. The World is Mi Familia, if you remember that song. Remember Me, of course.
Yes.
Un Poco Loco, which is one of our favorites.
Exactly.
And Proud Corazon, which is kind of the song at the end of it. And that's what Miguel sings, Un Poco Loco and Proud Corazon.
Right.
But like I said, get there early. It's actually, they do interact with the people on the sides, but they do face forward a lot. I would recommend for the best seats, if you get there early, go to the front. So you're looking straight into the Plaza de la Familia, because that's where you're going to get the best interaction with the best view of Miguel and all the dancers and everything else. So that's what I would recommend. But I would say go do it if you get a shot.
Oh, absolutely. It's well worth it. Well worth it. It's very colorful, and like you said, you named all the songs. It's real, and they go through the story of the movie, anyways, and in a very shortened synopsis. But it is beautiful.
Yeah,
and it's impressive, like you said.
The puppetry is amazing.
Yeah.
And by the way, there are some other simple puppets. It's really simple. There's some other puppets there, but Miguel is the most interesting one. But there are some other puppets that come in as well. But it's really cool.
Oh yeah, and we've always said Disney really does puppetry quite well. We see that a lot on the cruises, and so this topped it. I think this was amazing.
Yeah, they you're right. They've topped themselves with this one. It's a really great show, and I highly recommend it. But enough with the entertainment. Let's get to what we really want to talk about when we're talking about Halloween stuff: the food. The food.
Right.
What did you think about the food?
I thought the food was great, and want to give a little bit of information that we didn't know going in there. I mean, we thought there was a food guide, and we found out there is. There is. They didn't happen to have it at the time, and so they shared with us to find it on the app. So we did find it, and you can download it right there, and then have a full description of both parks, what's at the food specific to the Halloween season.
Yeah, if you go to the app, virtually every restaurant you open up, there's not only the regular menu there, but there's also like a thing underneath it that says just holiday specific, and this goes for any of the holiday events or any of their events going on. And you can click on that and it'll lead you to, if you want to just download the actual food guide, which makes it easy because it lays it all out to you and it breaks it down by kind of types of food, whether it just be snacks, whether it be more of the heartier stuff. But it's really simple to find. But also, if you don't want to download it, it is all that stuff is right there on the app as well. And a lot of the stuff you can now mobile order at Disney, which it is very handy as well. I have to say, it was a lot of sweets.
Yes.
Only a few savory dishes out there, so we didn't get to try as much as we want because we just didn't want to overdo the sweets all the time. So we tried a few things. A lot of the stuff looked amazing. I know I saw somebody with the Mickey Mummy macaroon from Jolly Holiday Bakery, which looked great. I think that's kind of got an Oreo type feeling, like a cookies and cream type filling to it. It's really cool. I saw someone else walking out of Clarabelle's with a bat wing. I don't know if this is the exact name, but it's like the back wing sundae, which looked really so good.
Cute, yeah.
But the things we tried, we took a couple things out of from over at the Paradise Gardens, over exactly where the Plaza de la Familia is and everything. And of course, those are focused on cocoa, and they serve a lot of Mexican style food over there. So things we got were the conchita, which is a traditional Mexican sweetbread with dulce de leche filling, which is kind of a really rich caramel.
Right.
That was good. I had some of that last night. It was the bread was, if you're just getting the bread, it's sweet, but it's a little dry. But then you get into that dulce de leche, and that is delicious. And you combine the two. It's a little sweet. There's a lot of caramel. But it's really good. Like if you have a cup of coffee, really good with a cup of coffee.
Yes.
Really good with a cup of coffee.
Absolutely.
Then we got the cocoa cake. The cocoa cake is amazing. And I see you got a piece now.
I saved my piece from last night.
I couldn't do it.
After the second milkshake.
We'll get to the milkshake in a second here.
After the second one of that, I was like, okay, I got to kind of cut back here. So I brought mine here today. I wanted to try it. It's beautiful, very colorful.
Yeah.
Let's see.
And there's the first bite.
That is good. It's really good. It's not too sweet. The sponge cake isn't overly sweet. The frosting.
The frosting really helps make it because it's what it is. It's a multicolored sponge cake. It's kind of red, orange, and pink. The filling is what they call a cinnamon churro mousse filling. And then it's got a cream cheese icing or frosting on it, which kind of the tartness from the cream cheese really cuts it so it's not too sweet. It's really good cake.
Right. I guess if you like, I would compare it to if you like the contrast of that with a red velvet cake.
Yeah.
This is kind of similar.
Very similar, only got a little more cinnamon in there with the churro mousse and stuff.
Right.
But it's really good. Highly recommend that one. That was one of my favorites. I was glad we got that. We saw somebody with it and we're like, we have to get that.
Yes.
So we got that. But what was the real hit for us, and we took a picture of it and put it on Instagram because it's just beautiful for one thing, but it's also delicious. And I'm not usually a big pumpkin spice person, but this pumpkin spice milkshake from Flo's V8 Cafe in Carsland is delicious.
It is. It's amazing.
We got two of them. It's so good. We got one early in the day. We had to go back before we went home to get another one because it was so good.
Right. And we don't usually have that many sweets in one trip like that, but it was well worth going back for a second one.
So,
They really do a great job with that.
Yeah, if you're you want to see what it looks like, we posted a picture on our Twitter at Hyperion Podcast. You can see what it looks like. But it's got this great pumpkin spice flavor. It's got some drizzles of caramel in there, which are great. There's hints of graham cracker throughout it, which really are interesting. But it's just rich and delicious. It's hard to explain more than that. It's just really, really good.
Right. And what worked out nice too is it did, like you said, the weather was great. It did get a little warm in the sun, so this was a nice treat to have. And it was, easier to move around with it than trying to eat ice cream. So it really hit the sweet spot. Hit the sweet spots, yeah.
The sweet spot. And we mobile apped, ordered that, and just went up, just grabbed it right there at the counter and just took it. We sat next to where we talked about before, the side area of Flo's that's right by where the Radiator Springs racers go by. It's a great space. There's some shade there. You can just sit there and watch the racers go by. And we just sat there and sipped it, and it was really fun.
It really was. It really was. And one of the things that you haven't hit yet, which we didn't really partake in, but churros.
Lots of different churros
was on
there.
A lot of the menus throughout the Disneyland Resort.
I saw a s'mores churro that I think was over by Grizzly Peak.
Right.
There was a s'mores churro that actually looked pretty good. I'm not a big churro per se person. You
Right.
know, I mean, I know blasphemy. I'm not really the churro at the park person, but some of those churros look really cool.
Yeah, and just very creative for the ones that they had for Halloween, and there were just so many, I couldn't believe it. And in fact, in the guide, they actually had a separate section
Just
for
the churros. Just the churros. I think there's a sour apple churro. There was a sour apple theme going on, I think, with the poison apple.
Right.
From obviously Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. There was kind of there. I know there was some sour apple cotton candy.
That's
right. So it's really cool and really good treats, and for those of you that go to Walt Disney World Resort, and obviously there's some treats out there, but it's a different world when you go to Disneyland Resort as far as the candy they make on site, the treats they make on site, the baked goods they make on site is out of this world amazing compared to what they do at the Walt Disney World Resort.
Right, I would agree.
That is something, if you've never been to Disneyland Resort, definitely go into Jolly Holiday Bakery, go into their candy shops, and go check some of that stuff out, because we all walk home every time we go there with a few things just to snack at home.
Right, and not just in Halloween time. I mean, throughout the year, they do have different seasonal items that they offer, and it's really, like you said, it's really wonderful.
Their English toffee will ruin you for any other English toffee.
It's true.
Yeah, once you have that toffee, you cannot eat any toffee from any place else outside of maybe England itself. You cannot find any better toffee in the U.S. that I've found anywhere.
Right. And dark chocolate. Lots of
great dark chocolate.
A lot more choices for dark chocolate. If you're a dark chocolate lover, there's a lot more choices there.
But we digress.
Yes.
Anyway, Halloween, big hit. Get out there. Go to the Disneyland Resort. Check it out. If you're at the Walt Disney World Resort, well, obviously we're not checking it out this year, but I know that they do it up right too. Go out there, have a blast with the kids. And you don't have to necessarily go to the not-so-scary Halloween party to enjoy it.
That's right. And I think that was one of the things we wanted to really kind of experiment with, is not doing that this year. Would you still be able to have a great time and still get to really feel the Halloween season? And I think we confirmed that definitely is the case.
No, we also got a picture with Goofy, who made his own costume, by the way, it was great. He has this ghost costume, and you can see he stitched some patches here and everything, and so anyway,
he looked great.
So there are some people in costume. All the characters are in their Halloween costumes, which is also fun. So.
Right.
That's it for our Halloween coverage of the week. We always get to our Disney stories of the week after we go through our main topic. And there was so much Disney news this week. There were stories I was not able to get to. It was like a crazy week for Disney stories. It started we post these things on Sunday. Monday, I already had new stories going for this week, so some of these may be a little dated, but we just kind of wanted to give our version of it. But I'm going to start with one of the biggest stories of the week out of Disney, which actually Disney teased early in the week, and then they came through with it on Thursday, and that was Disney Cruise Line. They had a live streaming event where they announced their early 2020 itineraries, and there was some fun news that came out of that.
Absolutely, and it made us really yearning to consider doing one of those fine cruises.
Yearning? I'm booking tomorrow. Yearning. This is nothing. That's called a click in the mouse booking. So Thursday morning, DCL announced some major news on a live event on the Disney Parks blog. You may have witnessed it yourself or gone back and watched it. You can still go and check it out. It's a lot of fun. They had a lot of characters from The Princess and the Frog. There was a nice band playing, and they had a little musical number. And the reason why they did it that way and the reason why they did it live was because they were announcing for the first time in forever. I'm sorry. For the first time ever.
And now you understand why I called Mater singing. It's you. Okay, I'm sorry. You were going to make a big announcement.
That's okay. I'm the one who messed it up by singing. Everybody just turned off our podcast right there. Yeah, exactly. Done. Anyway, what they were announcing was that they are going to be sailing for the first time ever out of New Orleans coming out this winter.
That's
not 2020, not this winter, 2020. That is exciting. It's going to be the Disney Wonder, which is our favorite ship, which is going to be sailing out of there. They're going to be doing some different itineraries. They're going to be doing 4, 6, and 7-night Western Caribbean sailings out of New Orleans. They're going to be doing a 7-night Bahamas sailing out of New Orleans. And their westbound Panama Canal cruise, 14-night, will be sailing out of New Orleans, ending up in San Diego, our own backyard.
Did you just say will be or will be?
Yes. Because that is what I'm booking tomorrow, Monday.
I see.
And that is what I will be booking. that's actually, that cruise is that we've been talking about that cruise,
Yes.
possibly doing that for that year anyway. And then when they're sailing out of New Orleans, we've been wanting to get back to New Orleans. We haven't been there in, more than a decade.
Right.
This also, it just so happens this sailing is going to correspond with exactly our 15-year anniversary. So it's just kind of all these things like
Right.
we've got to do this cruise.
Which we did a Panama Canal cruise for on our honeymoon.
Yes. So it all is like tying together like this needs to be something that we need to do. So anyway, that is something that we will be booking. I'm going to talk about booking here in just a second. The other big announcement that came out of this was they will also be returning to Hawaii for 2 sailings in April and early May out of Vancouver. And again, this is also the Disney Wonder, which is the Wonder is usually the one who does the Alaska season. Does the West Coast.
Right.
And they will be once again doing that. They're going to do that before they start their actual Alaska season out there. So they're going to come from the Panama Canal cruise. They'll do a few sailings in San Diego down to Mexico and such. And then they'll do their Pacific Coast sailing up to Vancouver. And then they're going to do the Hawaii sailings. So there's going to be 2 of them, one going out, one coming back. The first one is a 9-night Hawaii cruise out of Vancouver, 5 sea days, Kauai, Maui, Hilo, and Honolulu. Then coming back to Vancouver, it starts in Honolulu, goes to Hilo, Kauai for 2 days, which I think is interesting because
Wow.
Kauai is like our favorite island.
Yeah, it's
I'm not
beautiful.
thinking we're going to do it, but it's a beautiful island, and having 2 days there is, I think, magnificent. It's a great island. If you've never been there, it's a great island to just drive around and check out all this stuff. It's a really great island to drive and see the sights.
And a lot of fun things there, too. I know that would make a great stop to do a lot of different excursions on the water.
By the way, they have
kayaking and snorkeling and
They also have it's kind of like the Grand Canyon of Hawaii. It's called Waimea Canyon, and you go there. It's like on the other side of the island, but there's just this magnificent canyon area. You can drive there easily if you want to rent a car. I'm sure they'll have excursions out there, but it's just beautiful to go see. Anyway, Kauai for 2 days, Maui 5 sea days, and then back to Vancouver for that. So those might be something you're interested in. You can also obviously tag on an Aulani trip either side of this. Whether you're sailing out of Honolulu or sailing into Honolulu, which might be interesting if you've ever wanted to go see the Aulani Resort. So now let's get to booking for these and the other cruises. There's plenty of cruises. I'm just going over the main ones. There were lots of other cruises that were announced coming up for the new season. And these obviously were just the Wonder, but of course they announced some from the Magic, the Dream, the Fantasy as well. But booking for this grouping of sailings, the new ones coming up, are opening up tomorrow. Again, today is September 30th, Sunday. Monday, October 1st. If you're a Platinum Castaway Club member or a Golden Oak member, you can book this starting at 8 a.m. Eastern Time tomorrow, 5 a.m. Pacific Time.
wow.
Yeah, I know. We have to get up early. Well, not for me. I'm always up early, but we need to get up and book early. If you're a Gold Castaway Club member, Tuesday, October 2nd, same time. If you're a Silver Castaway Club member, a Disney Vacation Club member, or an Adventure by Disney Insider, you can book on Wednesday, October 3rd. And then for everybody else, if you've never cruised on Disney Cruise Line before or not a member of any of these groups, those will open up on October 4th. And now here's how you make the reservations. They can be done since the last grouping of itineraries released. They finally opened up where you don't have to call to do it. You can actually do it online depending on what your Castaway Club status is. You'll just need to be signed on. So you can do it on the the Disney Cruise Line website, or you can still call 800-388-4513 to book through the telephone.
Oh, cool. And I would say go for it. And don't worry if you're not able to book in those first, couple days. There are plenty of ships and plenty of rooms. It's just if you want to secure certain rooms, if you're going for certain concierge rooms, for example, those are probably more apt to go quickly at the beginning, but don't hesitate or feel like because you're not able to book until Thursday that's going to be a problem.
Right. I would say though, when you get the chance to book as early, even if you're just putting a deposit down, you can always change your mind later. Just putting a deposit down doesn't lock you into anything completely. You can always get your deposit back up to, I think it's 120 days out now. But it does, if you get in early, a lot of times that's when the cheapest rates are.
That's true.
They tend to go up as they progress through. Sometimes they'll drop back down, but they tend to go up a lot of times. So you may want to jump in early if you're even thinking about doing it, and you at least have enough money to put down a deposit on it.
Right.
So that's it. Disney Cruise Line. Big news this week. Other big news going out this week. The holiday event scheduled for the Disneyland Resort. That schedule has come out this week. This according to the Disney Parks blog. On November 9th, the happiest place on earth will be transforming to the merriest place on earth. I did not write that. Of course, that's right from the Disney Parks blog, but I love it.
Yes.
Disneyland Park, a Christmas Fantasy Parade will be returning to Disneyland Park. That means the Pixar Play Parade will be ending on November 4th. So if you love that parade and want to see it before it goes away for a while again, and we don't know when or if it's going to come back, check it out before then. But the Christmas Fantasy Parade, I would imagine, will be starting when they open up the merriest place on earth, which is November 9th. Nice. The Believe in Holiday Magic Fireworks Spectacular will be returning, which of course culminates with snow.
Yay!
Snow in the middle of Anaheim is always fun. Disney California Adventure Park, they're going to be returned with their festive food marketplace, which is all we always enjoy going there and get to sample little plates of food all around. If you know from the Walt Disney World Resort, think of the Food and Wine Festival. And we can go around and get little plates of food. We can do the same thing at Disney California Adventure Park. So that'll be opening up as well. The Paint the Night Parade, because of this, obviously those stands go right there where the Paint the Night Parade goes a lot of the times. Right. That means that will be ending on November 7th. So that's a great parade. And if you haven't seen it yet, we don't know for sure if it's coming back or not after this. Go check it out before November 7th. But the holiday stuff is a lot of fun when that opens up on the 9th.
Right, and you could get your fill of that, and then a couple days later get your holiday on. Yep. So that's great.
Also, the Disney Viva Navidad Street Party will also be back down. We were just talking about over at the Paradise Gardens area. That's where that takes place. It's music, dancers, and the Three Caballeros leading the celebration. That's right, Donald Duck, Panchito, and Jose out there. And of course, the seasonal decor all throughout the resort, always great. Christmas time is holiday time. Christmas time was one of our favorite times to be out there at the park.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to Small World also switching over to their holiday.
Yeah, that's all. The holiday layovers are great
on
all these different areas. And they do that also in Cars Land. They do some holiday stuff
that's
over
right.
there as well. Some other things, other news coming out of the parks. They announced over at the Walt Disney World Resort, they named some of the remaining celebrity narrators for this year's Candlelight Processional at the 2018 Epcot International Festival of the Holidays. That begins on November 22nd and runs through November 30th. We love it.
That's right.
We've been several times. So here's the rundown of all of the narrators they have so far. So Cheetah Rivera will be there on November 22nd and 23rd. Newly added Helen Hunt will be doing it on November 24th and 25th. Alfonso Ribeiro, who you may know from doing the Carlton.
That's right.
Which I can't do, even though I just tried to do it.
I know. You're right.
November 26th and 27th, he'll be out there. That's, I think, his first time doing it, or at least he's just newly announced doing it. Our favorite guy doing it, Neil Patrick Harris, will be there on December 3rd through the 6th. Whoopi Goldberg is going to be there December 7th through the 9th.
Also a good one.
Mm-hmm. Bart Millard, who's a singer-songwriter, will be there December 10th through the 12th. Blair Underwood, who is someone we've actually seen do it and is really good.
Right.
He'll be there on December 13th and 14th. Gary Sinise is going to be there December 15th and through the 17th.
I've seen him do it.
You've seen him do it. Yep. Yeah, that's really good. Pat Sajak. Can I buy a vowel, please, Pat? He'll be there December 18th to the 20th. Let's see if I can get this right. Ali'i Carvalho, who you may know as Moana.
Oh, wow.
She just was announced. She's going to be there on December 21st and the 23rd. Edward James Olmos, if you're going to be there on Christmas. Edward James Olmos, who is a favorite of mine.
Yeah, he does an amazing job with this. I've seen him actually perform it a couple times. It's awesome. And
that's a good reason why he'll be there on Christmas Eve, the 24th, and Christmas Day, the 25th. Jody Benson, who you saw last year, will be there December 26th and December 27th. Cal Ripken Jr., if you're a baseball fan, is going to be doing it on December 28th and the 30th. Still yet to be named, so we don't know. There's maybe a couple more names coming out or maybe just one more. November through 28th through the December 2nd. They haven't announced who that's going to be yet, at least as of last I saw, they had not. So we'll wait and see on that one. But a lot of great names there, and that is always, no matter who's narrating, it's always a wonderful event.
Oh, definitely. It's beautiful.
So other big news, the really big news coming out of the Walt Disney World Resort this week was that they announced, and this is straight from the Disney Parks blog, that beginning October 16th, you can go to disneyworld.com for a new website for vacation planning when you're going out to the Walt Disney World Resort. You'll be able to access this site. You'll be able to access online vacation planning and destination and purchase tickets. Now, the biggest news about the tickets is that they're going to be progressing into date-based pricing when you go out there. So you're going to be able to look at this calendar as you're planning this out, and you're going to see the prices may vary. It may be different on a Wednesday in February than it will be on a Thursday in July.
Right.
So you want to, if you're planning out your trip, you can kind of look at this calendar and decide, okay, what's the pricing going to be on these tickets? And also, what that will probably mean what the crowd count may be like on those tickets. So I want to get to another note before we discuss that more, but also there'll be travel tips from the Disney Parks Moms panelists all right there on the website, which is helpful because we talked about in past episodes how great they are at helping you plan out your vacation. So they'll be right there too. So easy access. You won't have to go to a separate site to find them. But back to the date-based pricing. This is something we've discussed for a while, that Disney is going to be doing some things different with a lot of the things that are coming now. We know Galaxy's Edge is coming. Toy Story Land just opened up. Pandora opened up a year before. There's lots of stuff coming to both resorts on both sides of the U.S. So they're going to have to do something to deal with what they expect might be some bigger crowds coming up. And this looks like they're trying to get ahead of it with this. I think you would agree, right?
Absolutely. And we've talked about that over the last several years, actually. They tried to just keep raising prices and saw that didn't really...
No, parks are still fairly crowded.
Right. And you're right. So it had very little impact on it. So they really did need to come up with some strategies or additional strategies to try out to see if they could help control the crowd so that people who are going can really still have a great experience and make it available to everybody who wants to go. But like you're saying, you may then look to see what dates would be more favorable, whether it be price-wise or the concern for crowd numbers. So that's actually a tool that can be very helpful.
Very helpful. And it depends on what's important to you. If you're looking for, pay a little less, and also look for, a better crowd, or if you don't mind paying a little more. But because of the fact they're paying more, hopefully what they're trying to get is that people will look for some of the lesser price days and some of the crowd will shift to those dates. We'll see. It's going to be interesting to see how it works. I'm just glad that Disney is trying to get ahead of this, knowing that as they can foresee what's to come in the future.
Right, especially with Galaxy's Edge, like you mentioned, is going to be opening in the summer next year. And so this gives them some time to really try out things that could make it a better experience.
And we talked about in previous episodes what they're doing at the Disneyland Resort. I mean, if you don't know, if you're a big fan of the Walt Disney World Resort, World Resort, I mean, yes, there are annual pass holders, but it's driven by vacationers more than it is by annual pass holders. That is what drives it. So that's why they're changing the ticket prices. I think the individual tickets, because not as many people buy annual pass holders. Disneyland Resort is completely different because you're drawing out of Los Angeles, Orange County, San Diego, Santa Barbara, some huge population communities, a lot of annual pass holders throughout these areas. So they've made changes to how the annual passes are going to run next year. And again, we talked about this earlier in an earlier episode. So there are going to be days where if you have a certain annual pass, you're not going to be able to go into one park or the other. So that's how they're trying to kind of limit that crowd coming in. Is like there'll be certain days that you can they're not days that you there will be blackout days, but many days that you can't go, but maybe you can only go to Disney California Adventure Park, or maybe days when you can only go to Disneyland Park.
Right. And that makes sense. I mean, we've seen it right now, like you're saying, with annual pass holders kind of driving the majority of the crowds at Disneyland. And that's great. And I'm so happy for people. But like even weekdays, you can be in the park and you go along and it's pretty empty. And then bam, it's like 3:30.
School gets out, work gets out.
Right. And people, that's, a great fun afternoon / early evening, or going out there to have food in the park. You've already got your ticket because you're an annual pass holders. And so I could see I'm repeating about Galaxy's Edge, but I could see then that being also an area that would end up drawing so many more people who might not have actually gone out in the evening to say, yeah, hey, done with work, done with school, let's head over and check out Star Wars Land.
Yeah, I think we talk about Galaxy's Edge a lot here, but I think we both agree that there is a lot of anticipation for this area being opened up, and I think that that's going to drive a lot of people to the park and just to check that out. If anything else, we discussed it not on the air, but off the air a couple of days ago, and we think that could, going to that part of the park could be crazy at times. So, like I said, I'm just glad Disney's trying to get ahead of this.
Right. And, Star Wars Land or Galaxy's Edge is, also attracting not just people who like Disneyland, but people who may not be as interested in going to the Disneyland parks now see something that they do want to do out there and, want to be part of that immersive experience that they're going to have there. So it's drawing a lot more people who might not have normally been park goers.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But like I said, I'm just glad Disney's doing something, and we'll see how it turns out. Hopefully these steps will start moving things in the direction that we're looking for as far as the crowds come up. But there are great times a year for both parks to go. I mean, I know we're being kind of doom and gloom about crowds, but don't take that. Don't keep yourself from going to the parks. I mean, it's still a lot of fun to be had, and I don't think it's as. Sometimes we just do doom and gloom, but it's not that bad.
Right, and it's not really doom and gloom. Actually, it's kind of a great thing that Disney is looking to see. How are they going to have some controls to make sure that people who actually are in those areas have a fantastic time, because it won't be too wall-to-wall people or anything like that. So not doom and gloom. I think actually this is a good thing to really help make sure that you can plan your vacation to get into the parks you want to and know that it's going to be manageable. Because the company is actually trying to be, proactive on this.
Yeah, I know this is a big, good step for the Walt Disney World Resort, in my opinion, and in your opinion as well. So we've been talking about Galaxy's Edge a ton here. Well, I have some other Galaxy's Edge news that came out this week, thanks to certain copies of Solo, A Star Wars Story, which was released on Blu-ray this week. Which we watched just the other night. If you happen to have purchased Solo the Blu-ray version from Target, we did not, so we do not have this. But it's a good thing this story came out so we could hear what's going on with it. They had a 13-minute bonus feature that was added to it that provided more details about the Millennium Falcon attraction that's going to be at Galaxy's Edge. This is straight out of WDW News Today, one of our favorite sites for Disney news. According to the video, the ride will be able to accommodate 42 guests at a time in 7 pods that seat 6 people each. I think we kind of knew that 6 people each in the pods were going to be. So that is not news to us. It's just we didn't know how many pods there would be. The riders will be able to interact with the environment and the pods, and they will be able to rotate a full 360 degrees, which is interesting.
Wow.
Yeah. Here's what Asa Kalama, I hope I said that right, Executive Creative Director of the attraction, had to say, quote, "You're truly in control of the fastest and most iconic ship in the entire galaxy, and Hondo,
Ooh.
You know Hondo.
I do.
Yeah. He's gone ahead and added a couple extra seats. If you've seen the Millennium Falcon for so many years, there's not 6 seats in there. He's added a couple more so he can get as many of those flight crews through as possible. There are 200 some odd buttons, knobs, and switches on the inside of the cockpit, and they all do stuff.
Nice.
If you're the gunners in the center and you don't fire back on the TIE fighters fast enough, they're going to riddle the hull with laser bullets. The engineers in back, it's really up to them to keep the whole Falcon working in working order. So they're back there furiously working away on their various systems, end quote. So very interactive ride. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of blast, and everybody's going to have a role to play in this.
A little assignment.
Yes.
Part of the crew.
Yeah. So as we've just talked about, Hondo Ohnaka, if you don't know who he is, if you haven't watched the Clone Wars or Rebels, he is a very fun and just a kick of a character. He's kind of a space pirate. He's out there, and apparently he's going to be leading this thing. And by the way, I don't know if anybody, I'm sure some of you Star Wars fans know this, but I bet you I'm going to surprise Michelle with this right now.
Okay.
Do you know who voices Hondo?
No.
Jim Cummings.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, that is a surprise to me.
I just found. I actually didn't know up until I think when we were doing talk about Christopher Robin. That's when I found it out. It was
oh wow,
fascinating stuff. So it was actually Hondo and Obi-Wan on Christopher Robin, by the way. But I digress. So he wants you. He's going to send them out to bring back the loot. End quote. Here's from Imagineering executive Scott Trowbridge. What he had to say about the story. It says, quote, if you bring back all the loot and there's not a scratch on the ship and Hondo is really happy that when you bring it back, you might find yourself with some extra galactic credits in your account. But do a poor job, lose the cargo, smash up the ship, you might come back owing more money than you started with. The boss man might not be too happy with you. And when you roll across to the local cantina, the bartender might lean over to you and say, hey, word on the street is your name's been put on the list of a local bounty hunter. I'd watch it if I were you. So it's not only going to be on the ride. This might carry over as you're going to the cantina or whatever.
That is cool.
So anyway, to end the quote, he says, so how well you do on this mission really does have the impact on your overall land-wide story. I think that's a lot of fun, and I'm interested to see how it actually turns out.
Yeah, it's adding a new dimension to the whole park experience. That's awesome.
Yeah. So as I said, the anticipation's so great, and it's crazy over the moon for me, and I know for you as well. So that's even more exciting news, and I'm really looking forward to that. And that's just one of the attractions there. There's also a First Order versus the Resistance attraction. That's going to be, it sounds pretty cool too, that you can take part in. I'm very excited about that. So can't wait. More Star Wars news this week. There's a new Star Wars VR experience coming in 2019. If you are an Oculus Quest owner, they'll have an exclusive Star Wars VR series to look forward to next spring. It's called Vader Immortal. Wow. They released a trailer, a small teaser trailer this week. The company that does this is the ILM X Lab. I'm probably getting
You want to try that again?
The ILM X Lab. I hope I got that right. They're the same people that do the stuff at the Void. So if you've been to Disney Springs or if you've been to downtown Disney and done the Secrets of the Empire, that's the same people. But they're doing this. It sounds like this is actually for a home version, but they may also put it in at the Void.
Wow,
speculating, so possibly. The teaser trailer was released this week, and it looks like it places you on Mustafar, which, as we've seen before, is Vader's, where he has his own kind of palace there, as we saw in Rogue One.
Right.
Kind of cool. It'll be a 3-episode series written by David S. Goyer, who also wrote Secrets of the Empire. So really cool. I guess it's going to place the story right between Revenge of the Sith and Rogue One. So kind of in that time being.
Interesting.
So I may have to go out, and I never thought I would actually get a VR setup or whatever, but that game and the little teaser trailer, you can go find it online, and you just go to YouTube, you can find it. Really was like, wow. It looks really cool. So
awesome.
And one more video game note. As we're running long, as we always do. I don't know why I even say we're running long. We're running on time. That's what I should say. Kingdom Hearts 3 has released the name of its cast of voice actors and includes a lot of names you Disney fans out there will know. If you don't know what Kingdom Hearts 3 is, it's kind of it's a video game. That's kind of a Final Fantasy video game, but it's all wrapped around Disney. It's got Donald, it's got Goofy, it's got Mickey. You go to all these different lands, which are actually lands of the different movies from the Disney franchises. So anyway, let's get to the names that are going to be voicing some of these characters in this video game. Haley Joel Osment is returning as Sora. He's done Sora for the last several games.
Right.
He'll be back. Tony Anselmo, who has done Donald Duck for years now, and has done Donald Duck all in the Kingdom Hearts games, will be back.
Great.
Bill Farmer is doing Goofy, as he's been doing Goofy for years now.
Nice.
He'll be back. Other net voices out there, Kristen Bell, Idina Menzel, Jonathan Groff, Josh Gad, they're going to be there to play their Frozen characters, Anna, Elsa, Kristoff, and Olaf.
Awesome.
Zachary, I never know if it's Levi or Levy, but Zachary Levy, whatever. He'll be back as Eugene Fitzherbert, that's right. Flynn Rider from Tangled, and Donna Murphy will be there as Mother Gothel as well.
Wow.
Tate Donovan is back to play Hercules again. He's played it in past Kingdom Hearts versions. John Ratzenberger and Wallace Shawn will reprise their roles as Ham and Rex from the Toy Story franchise. And there's a few other names too, but those are the biggest ones. But great to see that Disney's all in on this game and that a lot of the big names that you know will be within this.
Right. Can't wait for that to come out too, because we've played the game so many times with the older version, so it's going to be great to see some of the new lands and have that fun experience. And
plus, they've been teasing this one for like a year and a half now, so we're waiting for it to come out. I believe it's coming out in January of 2019 is what they're saying right now. And as we get more news about it, it looks like it's really going to come to fruition, so we're really excited about it for when it comes out. And
cool.
That may be a week when we can't do the podcast because I'll just be locked in playing that game for hours on end. And
I could try and do it alone, but that would be not a good idea.
Anyway, that's our Disney stories of the week.
Contraire.
Whoa, that's right. I forgot. You have a Disney story of the week from one of our Hyperion adventurers out there. That's right. So, I'm sorry. I jumped the gun there a little bit.
That's right. That's all right. So this actually came from, as I mentioned, Tom O. And he tipped us off to somewhat of an obscure site. And I'm going to call it that because the name of it is Atlas Obscura. But the title of the article was Even Magic Kingdoms Need Urban Planners. And so it really went into a lot of great examples of how the Disney parks needed to have consideration for the things that go on to make a city functional. And so the author addressed elements that are, how they put it, self-contained marvels of metropolis building. So, for example, they cited that Disneyland put in a very reliable transit system, which was the first monorail in the Western Hemisphere. And Disney World Resort revolutionized trash handling.
Really?
Yes. And it's interesting. I read the article, and there was something I wasn't sure about, because what they said is that the trash cans are spaced precisely 30 feet apart.
I'm going to take out a tape measure.
I know.
Next time we're there.
So,
because that's how I get my fun when I'm at the park. I'm measuring between trash
right.
cans.
Nobody will spot you doing that. So I was like, really? Is that true? So I did look up this in more depth and saw numerous references regarding the placement of trash cans at the different parks. Who would have thought that was out there? But they all mention a very similar either 30 feet or 30 steps. And they also all reference the fact that Walt did observations before opening Disneyland, of what people would do with trash, about how far on average would they go if they couldn't find a trash can and just dropped it on the ground. So, and the other revolutionary part of how they handle trash at Disney World is the underground tube system, so that vacationers really don't have to experience seeing
utilidors.
Right. And so the vacationers don't have to see garbage trucks coming through or anything like that, and which is really good in Florida because especially with the summer heat, garbage sitting in that heat can really become a nuisance. So, it just shows that we take for granted a lot of things that are going on behind the scenes that make these theme parks really marvelous. But another little tidbit that the article talked about is that Walt had first proposed a 16-acre site between Griffin Park and his studios in Burbank, but the city thought it was going to be too much of a carny situation for their city. So, and as this author, Jessica Leigh Hester, pointed out, is that setback got Walt thinking even bigger.
Wow.
And actually, I guess we have to be thankful for Burbank turning him down on that first go around so that he could actually go forward and really plan a much larger scale, and that being Disneyland.
Yeah.
So, and if you're interested in any more tidbits and information, like I said, there's the article in it, Atlas Obscura, but also a new book was just released in September called Walt Disney's Disneyland. And so that also talks about some of the early inspiration and ideas and research that went on to make the parks marvelous.
Yeah, I saw that book come out a few weeks back. I actually tried to get the author on with us, but he's so busy because it's such a great book that he's been busy making the rounds, and unfortunately hasn't hit us yet. But we're still hoping to be able to get interview with him at some point because it looks like a magnificent book about the planning of Disneyland in its early stages.
Exactly. And then one other little piece of news that isn't really news, but just going along with our theme of Halloween. Tomorrow starts the 31 Days of Halloween on Freeform, and so they have some really, fun Halloween or style movies coming out, like Nightmare Before Christmas, Hotel Transylvania. But I did notice that they will be playing Hocus Pocus throughout the month, but also a Hocus Pocus 25th Anniversary Halloween Bash. So some things to look forward to throughout the month for getting into the Halloween spirit.
Yeah, and Freeform expanded. I think it used to be the 13 days of Halloween. They're like, no, we're just going to take over the whole month and just start it because it was such a popular thing to have going on. So.
Right.
That's really cool. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so that's kind of a tip in many ways for you to tune into Freeform and check that stuff out. But we also always do some sort of vacation tip at the end of our show, whether it be Run Disney, whether it be Walt Disney World Resort, whether it be Disneyland Resort, Disney Cruise Line, Disney Vacation Club, whatever. We try and give you a little tip before we leave every day. We do a show just to kind of get you ready for what might be your next vacation. If you haven't heard some of them, you can go back to some of our past episodes. Wherever you found this episode, you can probably find our past episodes as well and get some of our vacation tips. But if you've listened to those vacation tips in the past, we always start with Michelle. And the reason we always start with Michelle was because she's beautiful and wonderful and so darling, but also because she has the best tips. So without any further ado, here's Michelle's tip of the week.
Well, thank you, sweetie. So my tip, I can sum it up in 2 words. Look up. And I see you're doing that right now. I guess I should
see some fluorescent lights.
I guess I should say a few more words. Look up when you're at the Disney parks.
Oh, good, because those fluorescent lights are really hurting.
I know, right? So, for example, during this Halloween season, that was one of the things as you mentioned, we got there a few minutes after a rope drop, and we wanted to rush to get Fast Pass for the Haunted Mansion, and I realized right at that moment, it's like, oh my gosh, we've been to this park so many times, and I'm feeling rushed to get something done. So,
which many times you often are. We've talked about it in the past.
Right. And realized, okay, got to bring it on back. We're at such a spectacular place, and I don't know what made me first look up. There must have been something shiny. Ooh, shiny.
Squirrel.
Right? But then I realized there's so many really cute, funny, cool decorations that are not at eye level that if you just take the moment to look up, we saw so many, as you mentioned earlier, jack-o'-lanterns. And we also saw bats flying out of the top of Carthay Circle building.
Right. Kind of out of the belfry there at the top of it.
Right. And, just a lot of other types of Halloween or fall-inspired decorations. And, again, I feel like a lot of times my tips are going to try to experience the parks at a little bit more depth than just going to all the attractions or eating the food. Right.
Show.
Right. And to take the opportunity to really enjoy a lot of this additional fun that was put in there for us. And so that's why I say look up. And so when I started realizing that was up there, I know we talked about it, and I said, oh, can we take the double-decker bus?
Which, of course, we love to do anyway.
Right. And that way
we've talked about it in past episodes.
Then we were able, then it was at eye level to see a lot of these decorations down Main Street, USA. And you brought up something that I thought was really interesting once we finished the ride.
Yeah, so we were heading down from the train station down towards Sleeping Beauty Castle. And I decided, I was looking there as we were waiting just for everybody to board, and we were up top on the second level of the omnibus. And I saw some of the jack-o'-lanterns up there. So I'm like, I wonder how many jack-o'-lanterns there are there. So I just decided as we're going down to start counting them. Now, I don't know if my count is exactly correct, but I came up with an incredible number for how many are there.
Right. And I thought when you asked me how many, I think my first guess was like 20 or 30.
30. I think you said 30 to begin with.
Right.
And I kind of pointed up higher. Said 40. Higher. And she's like, okay, I'm not going to keep guessing how many. One side of the street, this is just, I believe it's the eastern side of Main Street, USA. I counted 101 jack-o'-lanterns. I may have missed some, but that's how many I saw up there, 101 jack-o'-lanterns. So when we came back down, unfortunately, by the time we came back down, we were going to do the bus again, but it was just too many people getting into the park at certain times. They shut down some of these vehicles because they can't get through around the people that are coming down Main Street USA. So we just kind of walked down, and I counted on the other side, and I counted 104 on the other side of Main Street USA. So.
Right. Amazing. And they're all different. They're funny. Some of the favorites. I love the pirate one. And there's one that was a little harder to see. I wasn't sure if you were going to see it.
Yeah, it was a dark one.
It was a
dark jack-o'-lantern.
Right.
So
when you're out there, look up.
Yeah, but this just goes to show you how much you can miss that there. I mean, I thought when I started counting, I'm like, maybe there's 50.
Right.
When I was going along, and I was like, holy cow, they just keep going. They're just everywhere. And, a lot of times it's some of the stuff above some of the entrances into the different shops or whatever. And then even in just those, you'll find 12 just in that one little block. But there's all sorts of different levels of windows that they're in. Sometimes there's one in there. Sometimes there's 3 in there. But it's just amazing. But go check it out. Take in the sights. The decor is fantastic, as we were talking about Halloween before. It's really great stuff. And your tip is great. Look up.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and it just, like I said, gives you a little different, experience that day that, especially if you're somebody who does go to the park more routinely, it blends something new into it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great tip.
Thank you.
Always, Michelle always has the best tips. Now to my tip. My tip is a very simple one, and it's something that has to do with actually what Michelle just did a little bit ago on the show. Did you know that when you go to the parks, that, yes, of course, you can go to all the quick service restaurants or the restaurants and order the food and have it there or carry it around the park or whatever. But you can also, whenever you go and order food, you can also get it to go. They have packages in most of the places that you can get them to get it to go in bags to carry on. So if you're staying on site anywhere nearby, whether it be the Disneyland Resort and the nearby hotels, including obviously the Disneyland Resort hotels, or even Walt Disney World Resort, if you're staying on site and you want to take a little bit of the food from the park back with you, just ask when you go up and purchase it, just ask for it to go. They'll put it in a special package that you can usually seal up in some way, give you a bag, and you can carry that right out with you and take some of the plasticware and such and napkins and stuff with you, and you can eat it right in your room. So if there's something you might want to have later, if you're like, you're already eaten something you want to have later, you can do that. If there's, like we ran into yesterday where we had, we'd already had 2 milkshakes. So but we wanted to try this cakes and the Conchita and the cocoa cake. We just asked for them to go, packaged them up, took them home with us. I had some last night. Michelle just had some just a little bit ago.
That's right. That's a great tip.
So, and it's just a great way if, you want to try some of these foods, but you've had enough food for the day or whatever, you want to try something home. We do it a lot where if we're going to the park for the day, but we're going home for the evening, traveling to San Diego, we'll pick up something from, say, Flo's or whatever. And we'll just, we've been traveling, we've been at the park all day. We don't want to cook at night. So some of that food is just kind of nice to just, have at home. We'll just kind of warm it up a little bit and have that at home. But it's just a really easy way to take some of that food home for you.
Extends the magic.
And again, lets you sample some things that you may not have sampled in the park because you've just had too much other food when you're there. So that's my main tip of the week. Now I'm going to a second tip this week because Michelle dared me to do this. Because I mentioned when I was at the park this week that we were driving in from the parking garage, the Mickey and Friends parking garage, and I looked over to the left, and it was just as we were passing by, so I didn't get to alert Michelle to this, but I saw a cat on the side as I was passing by, and I realized when I was out there that maybe you, especially people who haven't been to the Disneyland Resort, or maybe you who've possibly been there a lot, may not know that there are groups of cats that roam through the Disneyland. They are the Disneyland cats. They roam throughout the Disneyland Resort, and they are welcomed there. As a matter of fact, Walt and the staff that opened the Disneyland Resort, in 1955, liked them there because they kind of, now of course this place is of course all started with a mouse. Well, they really, outside of Mickey and Minnie and such, they wanted to keep down the rodent population there, and the cats were the perfect things to do that. So they have allowed these feral cats to roam these grounds. They believe that there's up to about 24 of them out there right now. They're all spayed and neutered, so they don't go crazy and don't completely overrun the place. But they're out there all over the place. They're kind of, we're talking about Halloween. They're kind of phantoms in their own right. You don't always see them, but when you do, it's amazing.
Yes.
You're just sitting there and there's a cat. You're like, wow, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen at Disneyland. It's a cat. But because you know about the Disneyland cats. Now you'll know if you see one, you may know about that. So they have cast members that check check on them from time to time to make sure that they're healthy. There are fan pages out there dedicated to these, and some of them have even been giving them names for ones that you see most often. There's Francisco, who is seen often around Grizzly Peak, and there's Ned, who's seen often around the Disneyland Hotel. If you're out there and you see one, guests are discouraged to to go up and try to interact with them at all, but it's just kind of cool if you're out there. Just kind of one more thing to look around. You look up, and another thing is look up. We've seen them up on Grizzly Peak.
Right.
Like I said, we just saw them just kind of sitting in the lawn on the way as we were taking the tram in. And it's just kind of a fun thing to see. You're like, oh, there's one of the Disneyland cats. It's just so cool. So.
Yeah, like you said, that's from Walt's time that they had that thought. And it kind of goes with that other article we were talking about where there was planning on how to make things better for people who come to the parks.
So, yeah, it's just one of those things to look out for. We always try and give you something else to kind of look around. You got your look up thing, which is brilliant. Right. And mine is just kind of keep your eyes out when you're just kind of walking around. Last week I was telling you about look for those characters. They're just walking around where you may not expect to see. This week, hey, if you're just kind of walking by a wooded area or look around, see if you might see one of the Disneyland cats, and you might be rewarded because a lot of people don't get to see them.
Right.
So just kind of a little treat.
That's right. Very nice.
So.
Very
See,
nice.
I did it.
You did.
Yeah, I said, maybe I'll do that as my tip of the week. You're like, pick another tip. Well, I did it anyway. So I did both. I picked another tip, and I just bring up the Disneyland cats. So that's it for this week. Thank you again for joining us for another episode of the Hyperion Adventures podcast. Next week, we may have something special coming up to talk about. Not so sure yet, but we'll come up with a great topic no matter what happens. We always try and come with some fun topic. So we will let you know more about what's happening next week as we do our teaser video. We release that on social media, usually on Thursday mornings every week. So if you're looking to find out what we're going to be talking about next week, we will let you know then. So if you're going to check that out, follow us on social media, Twitter @Hyperion Podcast, Facebook and Instagram @Hyperion Adventures Podcast. You can find us on the web, HyperionAdventuresPodcast.com, as well as the 1057max.com website under the Max Plus tab. And you can email us if you have any information. If you've seen some of the Disneyland cats, I want to hear about your experience.
Right.
If you have anything you want us to talk about, if you have a subject you want us to cover, any Disney stories you want to share with us like Tom O did today, please email us at HyperionAdventuresPodcast@gmail.com. Even if you just want to say hi and tell what you think about the show, things we could do better, things you enjoy, whatever. We love to hear from all our Hyperion adventurers out there. So please contact us. You found us today. In the future, you can find us on 1057max.com. We're also on SoundCloud. We're on Stitcher. You can subscribe to us on iTunes and Google Play Music. If you haven't heard your favorite place to find podcasts, when we're not on it right now, let us know. Maybe we can find a way to also get on there as well. We are in a lot of places that I'm not even mentioning here. Some places I stumble across and I'm like, oh, I didn't know we were on there, but cool. But also a big deal is if you get on those sites and you have the chance, please give us a little rating, a little review. We'd really appreciate it so much. We love all you out there, and we love to be able to share this with more Hyperion adventures. Let us know we exist out here for them to listen to.
Right. So we would certainly appreciate that, and we appreciate, like Tom said, all the people who are listening now. And you can also, when we're talking about getting in touch with us, if there's something that we've talked about that we may not have given you enough information about, feel free to ask us some questions. And that's sometimes where we get some information that we share back with you, everybody later, because if we weren't clear enough for one person, we may not have been clear enough for everybody.
Yeah, sometimes we gloss over some things, or don't get, sometimes, there are a couple things that we haven't gotten exactly right. So if you know something a little different than us, we'd appreciate it. Please let us know. I mean, we don't want to put out any falsehoods out there. So, please let us know, and we will correct it on the air on the next episode. So thank you again for listening to the Hyperion Adventures podcast. We look forward to sharing some time with you again next week. Until that time, I'm Tom.
I'm Michelle.
And we hope you have a magical week.